Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.
Miami Dolphins fans, I want to give a special shout out to John, who's in the chat live for one of the first times in a long time. Phil Montgomery, a member of Fury Fam officially, he says, "We suck!" That's what I said yesterday on my after-game discussion, and it's true, folks. We suck. We suck again. We suck, bro. I don't care. It's not just Skyler. It's not just this. It's not just that. It's the whole team, top to bottom. We suck. If you want to be a member like Phil and get your comments highlighted every time you post them, as long as they pertain to the topic at hand, then join Fury Fam. It's really cheap. Click the join button, join Fury Fam. I'll get going once we get more likes in here. Let's click the like button, get the algorithm up, click the like button. Click the subscribe button, guys. We are at 2,100. We need to get to 3,000. I went through that stupid game yesterday, suffering through it. It was just the penalties, the nonsense, the disgusting performance for you guys. So I could talk about the game and I could talk about it educatedly and with a knowledge of it. So if you support the channel by subscribing, if you support the channel with super chats, which I'll also highlight and answer any questions, you hit me with a super chat, I'll answer your question, I'll put it up here. And if with joining and becoming an official Fury Fam member like Phil here, it keeps the channel going. It keeps me watching this nonsense so we can talk about it after the fact. Adam's in the house. What's up, my brother? Another Fury Fam member, official Fury Fam member. He also joined Fury Fam. Adam in the building. What's up, my brother? It's great to see you. Cap for life. One of the original supporters of the channel. Great to see you, my brother. And look who's here. G the Legend. G the Legend, he just premiered his latest video on this channel, where he calls out the nonsense, calls out the Tua apologist, calls out the fan apologist, calls out the staff, calls out everybody. You need to check out G the Legend and his post-game reactions. And if you want to check out G, you want to check me, Lucci, Shake, join us on Tuesday nights at 7. Join us on Tuesday nights. We have the live show at 7, and you guys get to hop up on the panel and talk to us. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, seeing you guys tomorrow night and discussing what's been going on with this team. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Join and become a Fury Fam member. Let's get this thing to 3,000. Let's get this membership count up to at least 50. Let's grow this channel, because while we're waiting around for the Miami Dolphins to actually do something worthwhile, we can at least build a channel that cares about the fans and gives it to you straight and is part of this community and actually trying to do something positive by putting reality out into the atmosphere here and challenging bogus narratives, because the bogus narratives keep coming on this team. The latest bogus narrative, which I told you was coming, so I'm not surprised, but I'm going to beat it like a dead horse, because it appears that people are still not getting it, and they still want to double and triple and quadruple down on the nonsense. And I'm getting sick and tired of it, quite frankly. So I'm going to beat this dead horse till I'm blue in the face. You know, I'm never going to, these guys, look at these guys. They're out here defending this clown. At the end of the day, man, and look what we got. We got El Cap. We got the Finn's Tailgate channel in the building. I just watched them all morning on Coffee and a Cup of Color. And you need to watch that show daily, because Color and the guys over there, keep it real 100% of the time. I just got done watching their channel, and they're saying the same things. But you got to tune into these channels who actually keep it real, who actually destroy narratives instead of feeding into narratives. I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. I told you that the narrative was going to be, as soon as Tua got injured, that the only reason we're losing, the only reason we're struggling is because we don't have Tua and we need Tua back. And then once Tua gets back, they're going to say Well, we wish we had Tua all season. We got to go into next season healthy. We got to upgrade the offensive line. After we destroyed the offensive line, now we got to upgrade the offensive line. And that's what you guys can latch your hopes to. And I like the hashtag TossBossRoss. Start hashtagging that all over your Twitter, all over your YouTubes. Hashtag TossBossRoss. It rhymes. It's real. It's relevant. See, the consonation works. C, T, or R, B. Toss Boss Ross. Get rid of him. Because I heard them say it today. El Cap said it today. Just a few minutes ago, he said. Ross decided that he wasn't going to gain fans and make money by winning championships and winning Super Bowls because it was too hard. Too hard to win championships. Too hard to win Super Bowls. So what's he going to do? He's going to get the glitz. He's going to get the glamour. He's going to get the big names. He's going to sell the jerseys on Sundays in the regular season, and that's how he's going to make his money. This guy's out here marketing portions of the team to investment groups because he's an investor by nature. He's a New York banker, okay? And his goal is to make this team valuable from a financial perspective so he can return on his investment and make money. Yeah, I'm sure he wants to see a championship at some point. I'm sure he does. But everything with him is how much ROI can I get? How much return on investment can I get with this team because I'm a finance businessman first? You think he put money into the stadium from the goodness of his heart because he just loves South Florida fans so much? Or do you think he put money into the stadium because it makes it a more valuable asset going forward that he can market as part of the team to increase his ROI? Not only that, but to get other concerts, the Super Bowl, other things that generate revenue for him into that building. You need to stop thinking that this ownership group, you need to stop thinking that this player group, you need to stop thinking that this head coach has you in mind, the fans, especially the hardcore fans, that were here for years, that used to watch football in the late 90s, 2000s, 70s, 80s. We're the last thing on the list, not just for the Dolphins, but I got news for you. We're the last thing on the list for the NFL in general. They're going international. They're selling marketing rights to each other in different countries. They're giving away streaming packages to different channels. They're increasing the cost of season tickets. They're giving massive swaths of seating away in stadiums to corporate stakeholders and taking those seats away from local fans. They are decreasing the affordability of seats around the country. They are taking taxpayer money to build stadiums and then turning around and making the price of a ticket impossible for John Q. taxpayer to afford to take his kids to a game. They are being sued under antitrust laws because they denied ESPN getting the Sunday ticket package because ESPN wanted to package it a la carte and allow you to select just one team for a lesser price. And they refused to sell it to them because they wanted it to go to YouTube, where they would force people to buy the several $100 package league-wide in order to see their favorite team. If you think the NFL or Stephen Ross or the Miami Dolphins care about you, the old school, real football fan, you got another thing coming. What the NFL cares about, and most importantly, what new school owners like Stephen Ross care about, are money, dollar signs, and manipulating the masses with narratives. Everything in our society today, no matter what you're looking at, football or anything else, is about manipulating the masses and mass marketing schemes that attract people who don't think things through and get them to spend their money, spend their emotion, spend their enthusiasm on their product. And the Miami Dolphins is a glowing, shining example of that philosophy. We are not going to do anything that's objectively going to fix this team. We are not going to do anything to show our hand that we are weak. What we are going to do is manipulate the masses with false narratives to keep this cycle going as long as we can. We are going to milk the cash cow as long as we can take it and as far as we can take it to get you to do what we want and keep spending your money, and keep spending your money not only at the stands, not only at concessions, not only at the games, but on TV packages and merchandise and everything else. And Ross bought the team in '08 for $1.1 billion. 2015 put $1 billion in for renovations, racetrack, tennis renovations. Team's worth $7 billion. That's what he wants. All that money, no Super Bowl, El Cap making points all day. All day. Literally, the Fins tailgate is on all day making points. But people don't want to tune into the Fins tailgate and tune into us. I mean, they do. But they want to tune into the mouthpieces in the media who are going to find another scapegoat. Tune into Big O. What's he going to do? Well, he's doubling down and tripling down on his hate for McDaniel. That's fine. McDaniel deserves all the hate in the world. But don't be fooled. These guys pretend they have your back. A lot of these reporters out here, a lot of these guys in the media sphere, a lot of these guys on the YouTubes. And by the way, click that like button. Click that subscribe button. I'm going to wait a second just to allow you some time to click subscribe. Click subscribe if you like real talk. Click subscribe if you like objectivity. Click subscribe if you want real information out in the sphere here instead of the nonsense they've been feeding you. You want to support a channel of a working dude who's finding time to do this in between running around and hustling? Click subscribe. Click the join button. Become a member of this channel. It's not a lot of money, and you get a lot of perks. Written column, behind the scenes, and you get to support real talk. I'll give you a second. Click subscribe. The fact is that these guys pretend to be on your side. They say, oh, no, I understand. I'm mad too. That's why I'm going to go at McDaniel. I'm mad too. That's why I'm going to point at Chris Greer. I'm mad too. That's why I'm going to find some scrub third-string practice squad player and say he's the problem. But what they're really doing is trying to gain goodwill and gain your trust so that they could scapegoat other aspects of the team, right? If they can blame Mike McDaniel for everything, then they can scapegoat Tua and allow Tua another year to pillage this franchise for more and more money while being mediocre against good teams and being ridiculously injury prone. If they could scapegoat only Tua, then they can excuse the coaching staff and allow the coaching staff to go out and get another quarterback that they're not going to be able to capitalize on his talents, and they're going to have a limited philosophy, and you're going to continue to rock with the coaching staff. If they vilify both the coaching staff and the quarterback, then they're giving the GM and the front office an excuse. If they vilify the GM, then they're probably trying to give the coaching staff and the quarterback an excuse. Pay attention to these guys who pretend that they're taking to the airwaves the way myself, the Fins tailgate, TD Fins talk. These people take to the airwaves every week and tell you the reality of the situation and the fact that from top down, this team is a mess. They're just trying to placate you and act like they're doing what we're doing, but they're not doing what we're doing. They're trying to get on your good side so they could scapegoat it, and then behind the back door, when you don't expect it, they're going to feed you a false narrative that's going to bait you and give you that good hopium, that great hopium for another year so they can sell more tickets. They can sell more enthusiasm. The NFL could sell more streaming packages. They can sell you another special edition throwback logo jersey since they trashed the throwback logo and gave us this weird logo now that we're all supposed to love. Just another way to sell merchandise. And a member has a point, so I will address a member's point. Phil says Ross has shown us that he cannot hire the right person. So it doesn't really matter if we fire Greer, McD, Tua. He's just going to make the wrong decision just like he's been doing since Wayne sold him. And I agree with you, Phil. I've been saying forever, people want to let Ross off the hook. They want to pretend, well, Ross spends a lot of his own money, so we got to like him. He's a great owner. All you want from an owner is to spend money, and he spends money, so he's a great guy. No, he's not. He sticks his nose into every decision, and he hires the wrong guy. You want to keep receipts, keep receipts. Keep receipts from this channel. I got one thing wrong over the past several years. One thing wrong. The only thing I got wrong, and I'll admit it, because I'm not the guy that needs to lie to you and tell you that I'm 100% correct 100% of the time and find some excuse or made up reason why when I was wrong, I was really right. You're never going to get that from this channel. I don't need the notoriety that bad. My goodwill with you and my good name is that I'm honest with you at all times. So I'm going to keep it 100, a buck right now. I've been wrong one time on one big issue this entire time, and that was when I wanted to get Deshaun Watson because I thought he'd be an upgrade from Tua. That dude has not been it in Cleveland, and they gave up way too much for him. I was wrong when it came to Deshaun Watson. But keep your receipts, because every other thing I've been saying about this team since I started this channel has been right, has been correct. And I said that Mike McDaniel seemed a lot like Adam Gase. He's in that lineage of the Philbin, Gase, McDaniel lineage, which is nerdy guys who claim to be offensive innovators who really don't have a backbone and spine to be able to lead men and instill discipline on a team. And I told you that the reason we've hired these guys in this same vein, in this same caliber, in this same attitude is because Stephen Ross is at the helm of this team and it has his fingerprints all over it. He says he's going to let the football guys make decisions, but he sticks his nose in it every time, and we always wind up with the same type of personality because that's the type of guy Stephen Ross likes. Nerdy Poindexter offensive gurus who are supposed to be the next big thing, but always flounder and fail by year 3, and the team's in complete and utter disarray, and teams figure out their little gimmicky offenses, and all of a sudden they fall flat on their face. And we got a brand new member in here, Blackjack Green. I love that name, Blackjack Green. Welcome to Fury Fam. Welcome to being a member of the channel. Your support is much appreciated. You can go back and read my written column from last week. I think it went through a lot of what the narrative and nonsense was and what I'm telling you right now, which is that this organization is pulling the wool over the eyes of the fans. Go back and read that, my brother, and then check out the upcoming written column in the next day or two and get ready for some behind-the-scenes stuff. There's the Shake Money and Larry K trailer of In the Blender that's back there. There's some other content for you. See my neighborhood where I'm cruising around, talking fins, etc. Blackjack Green, you are the reason we keep things real. Blackjack Green, you are taking an active role in keeping the Dolphins honest, and for that, we salute you. So welcome to the channel, Blackjack Green. Much, much, much appreciated. But this is what they do. I've been telling you. They are going to milk this cash cow that is Tua Tagovailoa for everything he's worth. As long as Tua is selling hype, as long as they can protect Tua's reputation, because you got to understand something. The minute that this iteration of the team, it's not just Tua. This doesn't have to be a Tua bashing fest because the poor guy didn't even play this week. And by the way, Skyler was terrible. And two things can be true, right? Skyler can be terrible, and everybody who said that Skyler was not the answer can be right. And Tua can still not be the answer because he's injury prone and because he looked terrible the last several games going back to last year when we couldn't win a damn thing. Against good teams, we blew a division title. We blew a home playoff game. We lost in the wild card round. I don't care how cold it was. You're a football team. You're a football player. The opportunity's ahead of you. The defense showed up. Why couldn't the offense? Two things can be true. Three things can be true. Also, the fact that the Miami Dolphins front office utterly failed with building this team on paper, and the offensive line is an utter joke. And we should have known that, because I'll say it for the 50th time. The offensive line that we went into the season with this year, including the two interior guards, were the backups from last year. I don't know why you thought anything was going to change. All these things can be true. Just because one guy screws up doesn't mean the other guys get a pass. This whole thing from top to bottom needs to be torn down. Let me tell you something. The Miami Dolphins as an organization have an investment and have an interest in maintaining the idea that this iteration of the Dolphins is going to succeed at some point. And as long as they can keep that thing going, they're going to keep you on the hook. So they have a vested interest in doing that. So trust me, the narrative is going to be out there that, well, if we get rid of the coach, let's get rid of the coach. Let's get Tua healthy. Let's enroll Tua in a new kind of jiu-jitsu or a taekwondo class or a judo, whatever. Let's rebuild the offensive line again for the fourth time after we destroyed it ourselves. Let's draft the next big thing so he can walk in 4 years when he gets good and we don't want to pay him. As long as they can keep some hope and some reason why they're just close enough, they're going to keep you on the hook and they're going to keep this iteration alive. Why? Because you have star power. You have Jalen Ramsey. You have Tyreek Hill. You have Tua Tagovailoa. These are banner stars in the NFL. And that sells jerseys. That gets TV spots. That gets people to travel there and get in their seats. And so as long as they can maintain this, as soon as they have to tear it down again and go back to brass tacks, they're going to take a fall at the box office. They're going to take a fall in merchandise. They're going to take a fall in primetime games. They're going to take a fall in overseas games. They're going to take a fall in everything. So as long as they can maintain the hope, the nonsense, they're going to do it. And the only way to do that is to keep finding ways to pull the wool over your eyes, keep finding friendly people in the media to parrot their BS talking points and continue to give you false hope. The worst thing that happened to this team was Tua getting hurt against Buffalo late in the game on a meaningless play. And yes, it's bad because Tua's out and Tua's our starting quarterback. But even worse than that, I've been saying this for 2 years, check the receipts. It's worse because now nobody's going to talk about the fact that even with Tua Tagovailoa, the team is lost. The team is undisciplined. The offense is not running properly. The offensive coordinator / head coach has no answers for the punches and counter punches he's taken. The fact that we let playmakers and culture builders go from this team, even though the defense is doing pretty well in adjusting. Guys like Wilkins, guys like Andrew Van Ginkel were difference makers, culture builders, attitude setters, and they're gone. Even with Tua, those problems exist. Even with Tua, those problems exist. But because he got hurt, they now get to play the old okie doke and wave something over here and say, no, look, he's just injured. Wait till he comes back. There's another, now 4 weeks. You're waiting for 4 weeks now because there's another thing that's going to happen. Tua's going to return. So it's a storyline, right? Well, what happens when Tua returns? What happens when he's healthy? What happens next year when he has a better offensive line? They're going to keep doing this. That's why last year when the defense was stepped up to the plate, and I'm not saying Fangio's the answer. I know Phil doesn't like Fangio. I know this year's defense has been pretty resilient. They had to sell you that the defense was the problem and they were rebuilding it to give you some kind of hope. Because the fact was this team was going to take a massive step back last year. We knew we were going to lose a lot of key players. There were guys playing out fifth-year contract years. There were guys that were here that were getting older. Last year was the year we went all in, traded assets, spent money to try to get there, to try to get to the end of the road and try to win a Super Bowl. And they knew that this year we would take several steps back. So the only thing they could do was try to sell you, look over here at the defense, look at the new coordinator, look at us replacing injury-prone player, blah, 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 and leave the offense alone. Teron Armstead, who's always chronically out, leave him there. Let our best interior offensive lineman walk. Let our other interior offensive lineman who got hurt walk. Replace him with somebody who's pretty good in run blocking, not great in pass pro. Put 2 backups from last year on the interior line in there. And look over here at the defense. Look what we're going to do. Oh, OBJ. Let's sign OBJ because he's got a big name. Look over there at OBJ. Look over there. And they hope that if you look at the other things that don't matter, you won't address and look at the things that do matter, which is the fact that we took a massive step back on offense, number one. And number two, other teams had us figured out. And they still have us figured out. And now that Tua got hurt, just like when he got hurt in the Green Bay game 2 years ago, and I said it was going to happen, it's happening again. They give us something else to look at so that we don't look at the true problems. And that's going to continue as long as fans and the media allow it to continue. Super V, good afternoon, Larry. I love your channel. Larry, I don't think the average fan are not going to keep falling for the banana in the tailpipe approach because the optics have been educational. Look, I hope so. I hope people just accept what they see, but we've seen time and time again in this society that people don't accept what they see. People see one thing and then their brains do this weird thing where they don't like what they see, so their brain contorts and manipulates it so that what they see can jive with what they already believe and what they feel. It's all about what they feel. instead of seeing what they see, taking it literally, and then adjusting how they feel and adjusting their beliefs to fit the reality that they're observing with their five senses outside their head. People have a tendency to contort what they're seeing and observing with their five senses to match what they already feel and already think. So while I agree with you that they should be seeing what's objectively obvious to all of us, I just don't think they are. And that's a sad state of affairs, a very, very sad state of affairs. And Carlos says, like I said, the ultimate fall guy in all of this is none other than Greer. What a joke of a GM. This man has gotten rich from Ross's money. He has not done nothing for this franchise. I agree. It's been 20 years. Time to move on from Greer. Got his big promotion. Greer worked his way up, and I don't fault the man for that. Greer hired a head coach in Flores, who I think probably was the right guy initially to hire, but he drafted the wrong quarterback under pressure, probably from the how popular Tua was. And it cost him in the end. And now he got his promotion. He had his shot. He had 2 shots to hire a head coach. He had a shot to make his quarterback work. He had a shot to have a lot of drafts to make his vision work, and it hasn't worked. He's earned the money. He got the money. It's time to send him on his way. Fury fan member Phil says, it did suck that Tua got hurt, but if it didn't happen against Buffalo, it was going to happen soon. He's a walking concussion time bomb. I'll be curious to see if he does return. If 1 in 5, I'd shut it down. If I were Tua, I'd shut it down anyway, man. I'd shut it down anyway. And I agree. The idea, last year, I told people, just because Tua made it through one season without getting hurt does not mean that Tua is going to make it through every season without getting hurt. The fact that the Miami Dolphins and the Tuaneers out there declared that one season was a victory lap, his stats were good in the beginning of the season, and he didn't get hurt for 1 year, all of a sudden vindicated all the issues and concerns the Dolphins had with injuries, all the issues they had with succeeding down the stretch in December and January, and therefore warranted a huge, massive payday instead of making him play out the 5th year like guys like Wilkins had to do. Was a huge miscalculation. The injury issue was still there, and the fact that the Dolphins disregarded it because of one season and went right into it and doubled down on Tua, and now he's hurt 2 games into the season, that's a huge miscalculation. Angel, thank you so much for the super chat. Again, you guys who support the channel by joining, by subscribing, by throwing the super chats, you guys are the real heroes. You guys keep this channel going. You guys help keep the media sphere and what we put out there honest, because you're putting guys like me in a place to keep it honest. Angel, since you gave the super chat, and I appreciate it, we're going to address your question directly. Do you think Tyler H can add a new dynamic? Angel, I have to say this. One of the few things I'm excited about, and I'll leave the question up while I address it so people know what I'm talking about. One of the few things that I am confident about, that I'm excited about, is seeing Huntley just to add something fun. Just to add something fun for fans to see. I think he will add a new dynamic. Now, how much of a new dynamic will he add, given that our coaching staff is completely impotent and can't find ways to make this thing work? I don't know. But he'll add something as best he can. Now, will McDaniel hold him back because he has a system specifically designed for Tua and Tua's strengths, and he only wants to highlight Tua? That's very possible. But I do think Huntley could just be something exciting. He's a different type of player. Will he succeed at this team with this inept O-line, with this inept coach? I don't think so. But we'll see. TD Fins Talk, one of my favorite dudes to listen to, who I tuned into yesterday. I saw him do a cell phone video because he's so beside himself. He couldn't even go live last night. But TD has been spitting reality too. And this is the man who really put me on and made this channel where it is today. So I salute TD for being on here and making an appearance. My brother, we always welcome you. Owe you a lot. And he's one of the dudes keeping it real. I told you at the beginning of the show. Me, Finn's Tailgate, TD Fins Talk, we're keeping it 100% real with you. Saying logical truth. And TD says, fire Greer now. I agree. Fire Greer yesterday. Mr. Glass. I call him Mr. Glass, not because he himself gets hurt, but because he loves injury-prone players. Mr. Glass is at GM. Mr. Magoo is at owner. And the Capri Kid is at head coach. Rocking capris and all kinds of crazy nonsense for no reason. You want to rock style like that? You want to act crazy like that? You want to go against the grain like that? Then you better show up on the field, bro. Because the thing is this. I got glasses. I got red hair. I'm sitting here with a suit and tie type joint. I got a button-down shirt with my initials on it. Why can I come up here and talk? Why can I do half the things I do, man? Because I show up when it matters. And you got the results. So I can look and have a swag however way I want to have it. He's got to do that. Now, he had that swag last year. He had that swag early in the year. Tua was succeeding. His offense was killing it. His offense was slaying. But now that he looks completely inept, and now that the players are not respecting him because they're completely undisciplined, they're getting penalized all over the field, they're speaking out of turn all over the media sphere outside the football field. Now he can't be rocking those Capri Kid pants anymore because he looks kind of corny doing it. And all of a sudden, the whole act and the whole Tua is my best friend, the whole Tua, Brian Flores was a terrible person, Mike believes in me. It looks silly now, bro. Because while he believes on you, how come he can't get you to succeed now that teams have figured it out and counterpunched you? And TD, thanks for showing up. We got another heavy hitter in here. Finn's take CB83 is in here. And CB's in here. And I'd be interested to see film review on why Mike McDaniel's offense has been completely inept since the end of last year. Because I think teams are out there film reviewing him. And I think that they're figuring out how to attack him. It's crazy. And TD says he's telling y'all to go hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Become a member of Fury Fam, but hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. We are out here trying to keep it 100. Trying to keep it 100. And the problem is that there is a whole army of fans and media personalities, a whole army of fans and media personalities that refuse to keep it real. And what bothers me is that you watch after a game that's a disaster, I want you to take a little toll and peruse the Dolphins atmosphere, the media sphere, the YouTube sphere, peruse TD, then go check out Alan. Then go check out Omar, check out Big O, check out me, check out the Finn's Tailgate, check out CB83, check out everybody. And immediately after the game, you're going to see a lot of reality, a lot of real talk. Guys are going to call out, honestly, the offense looks terrible. Honestly, even with Tua in there, we were doing bad. You're going to see a lot of reality, right? But then immediately, just watch it within a day and then 2 days. The narratives that they can grasp onto, the narratives that the team puts out, the narratives that the team wants you to parrot, they start taking hold. And some of these guys are clever enough to set it up early, right? You'll see a guy like Big O. He's going to start off like, I'm incensed. I'm mad. Bad game by Tua, bad game by the old line, and Mike McDaniel was terrible. He was terrible. But he's setting that up so that the next day it could only be about McDaniel, not about GM, not about Chris Greer, not about Tua, but just about the coach. Like, they set you up. And you can spot the narratives a mile away, because if you tune into TD, you tune into me right after the game, we're going to tell you what the narrative's going to be, because we know what the narrative is going to be before they start to push the narrative. Because it's obvious. The angles it's not rocket science to see what the narrative is going to be. This narrative now is, well, Skyler's so bad. See, we needed Tua. I told y'all that Tua was what we needed. I told y'all Tua carries this team. Bro, carrying a team to getting blown out by Buffalo, our division rival, for the I don't know how many times in 3 years, and carrying the team to looking like an utter joke against Kansas City is not carrying a damn thing except a feather pillow around. You want to carry real weight? Go do what somebody like Mahomes does. Go win with dudes who they don't even know who they are half the time, and go out and win a Super Bowl where you didn't even realize how the hell they did it because the team was looking inept in the beginning of the season. Don't carry a team by stacking up stats early in the year against crappy teams and then crumbling at the end of the year and then peeing on our heads and telling us it's gorgeous spring water. Johnny Pope, my dude, Thank you so much for the super chat. Again, you're the reason we're surviving out here. Johnny Pope with the donation to the Phin-Addict Fury channel. Thank you very much for your contribution, sir. Johnny says, pretty sure Ross and Marino decided on another tank with how bad our QB and line situation is on purpose. They want Shador or Manning to throw to Waddle and Cheetah. And I don't know that I have as much faith in Ross as you're insinuating there, Johnny, to say that he's actually going to be that farsighted and that ahead and that much of a chess player to tank that far in advance. What I will say, Johnny, is I agree that that's the direction we need to go in. I would love one of those guys to be throwing the rock. Now, how much longer does Tyreek play at the level he's playing at? You got to remember that this team went from one of the youngest teams in the league who had the future ahead of them to one of the oldest teams in the league. I think I saw TD saying this maybe a week ago, which was that we abandoned the rebuild philosophy, which was we are going to stay young. We are going to invest in our own players. We are going to develop our own players. We are going to let guys walk, who get too ahead of themselves so we can continue to bring in young talent. We abandoned that. We went all in and said, we're going to start selling off assets. We're going to start emptying our checkbooks for big name players, for older guys. And as much as I want to see Manning throwing to the Cheetah and to Waddle, the Penguin, and throwing to these guys, I wonder how much longer a guy like Cheetah is going to be playing at the level he's playing at. And by the way, is he even playing? I'm not knocking the guy. He had that catch against Jacksonville that pretty much sealed the game. But how much has Tyreek shown out even this season so far? Now, part of that's on the offensive line. I've told you that everything starts at the offensive line. Thank you again, Johnny, my brother, for that donation. Everything starts at the offensive line. We've said that. And the quarterback play and the play design. So I'm not saying it's all on Tyreek and Tyreek's ability, but it's not like Tyreek's been showing out right now. And Johnny Pope says, Greer ain't going nowhere. Thank you again for another donation. Johnny's coming in hot today, man. Johnny's not playing. He wants his opinion out there. He wants to talk about it. He's dropping the donations. It's greatly, greatly appreciated, Johnny. And Johnny says, Greer ain't going nowhere. He'll get another rebuild. Coach and QB, I actually like some of our pieces. I'd fire him, but he ain't going to be. What I'm more scared about, Johnny, is what Ross has shown that he's done throughout his tenure as owner here. Ross has shown that he will fire one guy. He plays this game where it keeps us in perpetual decline. Instead of cleaning house and completely rebuilding from the ground up with a brand new philosophy, what Greer does is he likes to fire the GM, keep the coach. So now the incoming GM is saddled with the coach and that limits your pool, right? Or he fires the coach and keeps the GM. And I'm scared that he's actually going to fire Greer this time, but he's going to keep McDaniel. And he's going to try to sell a new GM on the current coach and go that way. And I think that's going to be a big problem if he does that. Now, will he keep Greer? He might. And Johnny, to your point, I agree. I like some of our pieces too. I've been saying that we have pieces to build around. You should strip it down to just those pieces and build around the younger quality pieces that we have. I like some of our pieces too, but it needs a massive rebuild in philosophy, and in certain key aspects of the team, it needs a rebuild, period. I want you guys to understand something about McDaniel. I want you to understand something about the way that this team functions and the way that Stephen Ross runs it. I'm going to get to it in a second. I just want to touch on Fury fan member Phil Montgomery. The idea stopped when some dummy drafted Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg to play left tackle. And we know who that dummy was, man. Mr. Glass. Miss Fins is in the house. Shout out to Miss Fins. Another great show daily. She's at it daily in the morning. Usually when I'm getting up, getting dressed, getting ready to go to work, I throw on Miss Fins. Miss Fins has been talking some real talk for a very long time, and I appreciate you making an appearance, Miss Fins. Says it's just sad because people want to call it hate, but it's not. We've been critical of our team because it was warranted. Everyone else only allowed blind faith. That's not me, period. God gets my blind faith. And I'm with you. I'm with you, Miss Fins. No one deserves your blind faith other than your God or whatever you have invested your spirituality into. The Dolphins don't get your blind faith. The human beings on the Dolphins, especially the millionaires who are laughing their way all the way to the bank in their beautiful houses with their extravagant lifestyles, who party on Fridays apparently and get to chill out after games, and when the offseason occurs, get to go home to their multi-mansions while we are out here just dying to see a playoff run, while we go out there and make society run every day. Make no mistake, the millionaire and billionaire football people out here who play with us and then diminish our concerns and act like we shouldn't have the opinions or we don't have the ability to criticize or critique them on the field. Those people forget that a lot of us are the rank and file people that make the world go Monday through Saturday. Teachers, lawyers, construction workers, drivers, delivery people, all these people, service workers. We make the world go. And all we want to see is some honesty and some effort. And this front office continues to treat us like clowns. Johnny Pope says those two wideouts checked out with McDaniel. They still got juice. And I would agree, Johnny. I think that's a good point. I think that's a good point. I do. And thanks again for another super chat. I think that's a good point. I definitely think that some of these guys are checked out. I think it's obvious with Tyreek sometimes. I think it's obvious with some of the other guys. They're checked out. They're checked out because they know that this iteration, just like I know, they know this iteration of the Miami Dolphins, this version of the team with this current philosophy and this head coach, and I think this GM and even this owner, but you're not going to change the owner anytime soon, I think they're checked out. They know it's not going anywhere. They know it's not going anywhere. And Miss Finns, I love catching you live, so I'm glad you got to catch me live. Greg says, Larry, Tyreek Hill quit in the first quarter. And I saw G on your rant that you were saying that. And John says McDaniel looked lost. I think he's looked lost for quite a while, John. I think he's out of answers. I think even on Hard Knocks, he seemed like he was out of answers. He seemed like he was out of motivational speeches. He seemed like he really didn't have answers during the consecutive losses they were getting. And I think it's evident he's kind of out of his element in that regard. And CB says, fair to be critical. I just hope you aren't losing sleep over this. I don't. It's football. Teams lose. Players get hurt. It's the nature of it. Hoping our guys can turn around. And CB, it's funny you say that because actually I was thinking about this the other day, bro. I was thinking about it yesterday. Like when the team lost yesterday, I went upstairs and I was like, okay, you got to go on a rant. You got to be mad. And I'm mad in general because it's just like, it sucks. It's BS. But I was like, I got to put on the this team sucks and all that. But like in reality, bro, like I'm good. Like I was chilling. Girl was downstairs. Like we got a new place that we're moving into. And it's like, I'm good. And the primary reason I'm good is because I expect this. Like taking an analytical, critical look at the team going into the season. And an analytical, critical look at the team on paper and, what they upgraded, what they downgraded, the way we looked at the end of last year, the way I thought we were going to look as the schedule shook out this year. I kind of expected us not to be as good. And then after Tua goes down last week and we look completely inept last week and we didn't look great the first week, I expected to lose. You're going from the absolute, and Lucci said this the other day on the happy hour, the absolute extreme southeast to the absolute extreme northwest. I don't expect a win. I don't expect a good showing. I think I'm using the emotion and the presentation to get people's attention to call out what analytically I think is kind of evident here. And that's why I do it. And CB, something else I'll say, is there's content creators out here like you and I who, we're busy because we got a lot of other things going on. And this is something that we do for the love and that we do for the viewers and for the community. And that's why we appreciate the donations and the people joining the channels and the people subscribing because, we're doing something much more part-time. And some others have are fortunate enough and have built their businesses enough that they can do it full-time or close to full-time. And we've done it, the level we're doing it. And so we care, but we care as much as we can. And we do it for the love and we do it for the community and those fellow Dolphins fans of ours. But, life goes on and we're doing a lot of other things out there. And I think that's important to remember, when we're looking for content, we're looking for people to be consistent. Your support helps because, we're busy and we got a lot of other things going on. So I definitely appreciate what you're saying. I mean, and fans should not be so over-invested that this ruins their day, especially when you should know that the Dolphins, the people in the front office, the players themselves, they don't care as much as you do. They don't seem to. And I'm not knocking their personal beliefs or their personal dedication, to their profession. That's to them. That's for them to worry about. I'm sure there's guys in the team that are hurting terribly, and I'm sure there's guys in the team that don't care quite as much. And that's everybody's prerogative, but it's also the fans' prerogative, to call it out, and it's the fans' prerogative to see how much time and money they want to dedicate to a group and a team that hasn't shown them that same respect. And Johnny, again, Johnny's just coming with it. Come on, Johnny. Johnny's coming with it, man. Johnny is donating today. He's on the ball. He's not playing. He's letting his voice be heard, and he's donating. And Johnny, you are the hero today. You are the MVP of this stream today for throwing down so much. You and Blackjack Green, who joined and became a member, you guys are the MVPs today, so it's much appreciated. He says, choosing Tua over Flores was the biggest mistake by far. Our best parts of the core is still Flores, and the league is going to back to defense and run. I saw a piece, and I mentioned it in a couple weeks ago, that the league was shifting back, because this league's always about outmaneuvering people, outflanking people. And it had gotten into this hyper spread, which it kind of came from college, this hyper spread, pass happy type dynamic. And it happened partly because of the rule change, the competition committee. And now it's kind of the counterpunch is going back to a hard ground game between the tackles, and Miami is behind the ball and preparing for that. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Now, I had said initially when the Flores firing happened, and people didn't want to listen to me. Now, whether you like Flores or not, whether you think Flores was a great coach or not, it's still up for debate. But what I will say, because he started off slow, a couple years, and it cost us a chance at the end. And then you're playing with house money towards the end of the year, so you go on these huge win streaks. At the end of the day, I did think that, and you could see in the way Tua talks about Flores, I don't think, again, that was a narrative, right? Again, there was this narrative that, well, we got rid of Flo because Flo didn't know how to talk to people. Flo didn't know how to work with people. He was just a cancer in the organization. Now, there might be truth to some of that. That, look, Flo was difficult to work with. He wasn't on the same page as us as an organization. But I think primarily what they were talking about when they were saying Flo was not on the same path or same page, as them as an organization, I think what they were talking about was they were saying he doesn't believe in our philosophy and our doubling down on this quarterback and what this quarterback needs to succeed. Therefore, we've decided to move on from him. And in that sense, they were certainly choosing Tua over Flores. And I think Tua's camp and Tua's people said, get rid of this head coach, or I'm going to not be happy and I'm going to want to get out of here because this guy is not treating me the way I want to be treated. This guy is not working for me. And whether you agree with, Flores' philosophy, whether you agree with how he treated Tua, whether you agree with Tua, whatever it is, you're entitled to your opinion 150%. But I do think the organization very clearly and very definitively decided we have a choice between two people. We have a binary choice, and we're going with Tua over Flores. I don't think this overall thing that he failed at this, he failed at that. I don't think that's really what happened. I think they were presented with an ultimatum, and they went with Flores over Tua. And whether that was the right decision or not, whether it would have made a difference if they got rid of Tua and stuck with Flores, maybe not. I don't know. But I do think that was a decision that was made. I said it at the time it was made. And I do think there was a narrative out there, just like narratives always exist. And Big O started it. I don't know where it came from. And midseason started calling him Cam Flo and started trying. None of us really thought Flores was the problem at first. But the narrative started being pumped out intentionally. The narrative started to be how bad Flores was and how, if you really think about it, he's a pretty bad coach. And if we had a better coach, and a lot of people didn't buy that. But that's what started being pumped out early and often, because I think it was really to cover up the fact they were given a binary choice. You rock with this QB, you rock with this philosophy, or you get the hell out. And they started making it about his shortcomings overall. But I think that was really to kind of look the other way, to take the pressure off the quarterback and the GM, who decided that that was why they were going to move on. And that's a good point, Johnny. So I appreciate the super chat and the point. And CB83 says, I'll be live tonight at some point. This will be an easy one. We're bad right now. Got to find a way to be better. And one thing I like about CB83's show is that he will give you fundamental football reasons on how you can improve, football reasons as to why you're failing, football reasons as to why you're having a shortcoming. So you can actually tune into him and get some legitimate football discussion. And if you're looking for something to look forward to from a football perspective, that's something to look at. Carrie D, another Fury fan member, makes an appearance, and Carrie D says, it is just football. That's the truth. It's great to love the sport, but when I look at Wheelchair Man John and his avatar, that is the life stuff that is meaningful. Tua does not change my life. And I think something we need to pay attention to is, it's not your life. You don't owe it a devotion of blind faith, like Miss Finn said. You don't owe it an allegiance, right? It's calling out a team for being bad, calling out shortcomings of certain players and certain coaches does not make you a bad person, does not make you a disloyal person. It does not make you a half-assed fan. None of that is true. Calling out the nonsense just makes you an objective human being who is not going to ride or die with a team that's not improving your life at all. And you don't have to blindly dedicate yourself to a football team. A football team is a business, especially a pro football team. It's a business. It's not like college where you have alumni, you're dedicated to a community that you share with all these people across all these disciplines and professions. It's not that. Okay? It's not that. It's just a business, and they're going to try to pull things over your eyes, and you got to call them out. They're a business. They're asking for your money. They're asking for your being a customer, and you can say, you know what, I'm choosing not to, because you're not owning up and you're not holding up your end of the bargain. And actually, your marketing ploys are getting tired, and I'm getting sick of them, and I'm not going to deal with them anymore, and I'm not going to rock with them anymore. And Alex says this started after the Jacksonville game with the Flores thing. Yeah, true. Johnny Pope, this dude doesn't care. He wants his opinion out there. He wants to keep it real, and he's going to put his money where his mouth is, literally, and get his perspective out there. And I respect that, Johnny, and I appreciate sincerely your support for the channel. Y'all will realize how bad that was. Flo was our next Dan Campbell regret. We had the guy. Give it 3 years. Now, you look at the Vikings defense right now, and you look at what they're doing, and there's, there might be some truth to this. Dan Campbell, another guy. I don't know why we moved on from Dan Campbell. I really don't. I don't know if they just didn't think he was ready. I don't know if they thought that, they needed somebody with a little more, a different approach. Or I don't know if it was he was this tough, old school type guy, and they thought they needed some more cerebral, offensive-minded guy. I don't really know, but it's clear that Dan Campbell is a motivator and that he can get guys on the same page. Now, whether he gets the ultimate goal of a Super Bowl championship, we'll see. But taking Detroit to the NFC championship is a hell of an accomplishment in and of itself. And I think it's interesting that this team consistently wants to kind of have this finesse culture where, we don't want to be too tough. We don't want to be too old school. We don't want to be too fire and brimstone. We don't want to do those things. We want this tactical approach. And that's an organizational approach. People have to understand. You can go at Mr. Glass, Chris Greer. You can go at Capri Kid, McDaniel. But in reality, the tone is set from the top, and the tone is set with Stephen Ross. And Stephen Ross has made the conscious cultural decision that we are not going to be this fire and brimstone, old school, tough guy approach. We are going to go with this finesse. We think we can win with outmaneuvering people from an X's and O's offensive standpoint. Whether that's legitimate or not, I don't know. But that is the philosophy. So you have to look at the entire culture. And the entire culture has a lot to do with the owner. And I've been saying that to you guys, and there's no way we could really push the owner out, but you just have to hope that the owner gets the message that he should stay out of football decisions and operations. And maybe if the fan base held him accountable for some of the false narratives that were out there, that would happen. But as long as the fan base is going to placate the narratives and continue to buy the excuses, it's never going to happen. And Shelby says Big O's already done with McDaniel. Yeah, I know he is, but that's a good way to not have to focus on some of the shortcomings of the quarterback too, and try to not focus on some of the shortcomings of the personnel. As long as Mike McDaniel is the bad guy and Mike McDaniel's so stupid and Mike McDaniel's so inept, then that takes the focus once again off the quarterback, where Big O kind of says he's falling short, but doesn't quite want to own up to it yet, that Tua might not be the answer either. Therefore, McDaniel's the bad guy. Pay attention to these guys when they tell you these things. What's their angle? Finn's take, CB83, says, I'm not ready to fire McDaniel or Greer. I'm evaluating how they face this adversity. We'll see how it turns out. Appreciate you, Larry. I am ready to fire both those cats, but here's the thing. They're not getting fired right now. So whatever I say is really not important. They're not going to fire him. So I understand Finn's take. I understand CB83 saying, hey, I want to see them get better. I want to see how they handle adversity. I got news for you guys. Even if I want them fired yesterday, they're not getting fired yesterday. So all we can do is see how they handle adversity. I'd love to be wrong about them. I'd love to see this season turn around and us win a playoff game, because I'm a Dolphins fan. I don't care how we do it. I don't have an agenda. My only agenda is winning games and being happy as a football fan. So if they do turn it around and I'm wrong, I would love nothing more. I don't think they will, but I'm also going to see how that happens. And CB says, I'm a Tuanier. I want QB1 to be successful and healthy. That means the Miami Dolphins are winning games for a title. Sunday, I was a Skylaneer. Next week, I'm a Huntlaneer. I think we all, that's where I think people get lost sometimes in this whole beef, is everybody wants Tua, honestly wants Tua to be a star. And TD has said this many times, because TD's considered a hater. TD has said so many times that we all want to be wrong. We all want Tua to be amazing. We all want Tua to slay. We all want Tua to be that guy and to be a world beater. And look no further than my channel. Look no further than my channel last year. In the middle of Tua doing really well, I was saying, look, maybe I was wrong. As of right now, the facts coming in show that he is playing at a really high level. And I was happy about that. Now, to TD's credit, he and I went back and forth a little bit about whether he's really showing up or whether it's mediocre teams. TD stuck to his guns because he was seeing something. He was happy. TD was happy as hell that Tua was doing well. But he was saying there's still going to be issues. Watch. Just don't get off. Don't be unanalytical and turn into fan mode, Larry, because you got to pay attention to what's going on in the underlying stuff. And he turned out to be right. He still struggled and fell short at the end. So I think everybody wants these guys to be the answer. I wanted Skyler to have some crazy Brock Purdy showing and just blow us all away. And I hope Huntley does. I truly think Huntley's got a different angle, a different perspective, a different style. And I truly think Huntley maybe really can. I never really thought Skyler could. I really think Huntley might be able to, and I'm rooting for that. And I'm rooting, like I said, for Tua to come back and to win the Super Bowl for us. I'm just calling out what I think is legitimately, based on my observation, to be the case. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen with this regime. I don't think that's going to happen with this quarterback. That's just my honest analysis at this point. As of this date, 2024, I don't see it happening. And I'm just calling that out based on just really looking at it analytically and objectively as I can. And I hope I'm wrong. And as soon as I'm wrong, I'll gladly eat crow and I'll gladly call myself out for being wrong, just like I called myself out for being wrong earlier on the show about Deshaun Watson. I was wrong about him. Carrie D says, I love the old school grit. Mike McDaniel. Yes, yeah. I love the old school grit. And I agree. People complain, I don't want to watch a boring game with all these defensive struggles and running the ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I want to see fireworks. Bro, I don't need to see fireworks. I've been a football fan for many years. I love college ball, going to a Rutgers game, and all I see is a defensive struggle with the ball being pounded between the guards. I don't care. I like football. I like the game of inches. I like being in the stands in a defensive struggle where the crowd gets loud on third down. The crowd gets crazy on fourth and short. I love that. I don't need the fireworks and flames. Give me an old school, tough football coach, an old school, tough philosophy that gets guys to eat, breathe, and sleep football on my team who are getting paid millions of dollars to do it, so I don't feel bad, who care about winning so much that it hurts, who have that Tom Brady mentality where they're smashing things on the sideline if a play goes wrong, because that shows how much they care. Give me that all day and twice on Sunday, 4 times. I'll stay up and watch it all day Sunday, and you could even throw in a Thursday night special if you want, because I love that type of football. Marco, thank you for the donation, Marco. Keeping this channel going, as I said. Greatly appreciate the donation. Greatly appreciate your effort and putting your money where your mouth is, Marco. And Marco says, if I was Ross, I'd be pressuring NFL to say Tua can't play. Give me cap space back and I'll buy him 90 mil. So that's another thing that's going on. This whole insurance stuff and all this stuff that's going on. Fact is, the Dolphins paid Tua. So the cap hit that they've already incurred, the cap hit that they paid in guaranteed money, that's gone. They have to spread that guaranteed cap hit out over a certain number of years. That cap hit is going to hit us whether he plays or not. The guaranteed money. That is a dead cap if he leaves. That's going to be there no matter what. And that's a gamble the Dolphins took in giving him the guaranteed money. Now, the interesting part about that is Ross took out an insurance policy. So this should make you even more critical and skeptical of the people that are running this organization and even less hesitant about calling them out and feeling bad for calling them out. Ross took out an insurance policy, meaning that Ross can be compensated if something catastrophic happened to Tua for the money that he actually paid out. So the actual dollars that Ross paid out, he can recover some of that money via the insurance policy that he took on the contract. But that insurance policy does not mitigate in any way the cap hit that the Dolphins already incurred, right? The cap is there to keep competitiveness going and to hold teams accountable for the money they spend on certain players. And you incur that risk from a salary cap perspective when you decide to pay a player. You're betting on him staying healthy. You're betting on him being an impact player. And that is just for fairness of the league. So even if Ross gets compensated in the real dollars that he outlaid for the Tua signing, it doesn't help the cap money that we already spent that needs to be spread out over years to make up for that signing. So Ross is fine. Ross is going to make a lot of that money back in actual money in his pocket. But the fans are going to suffer because the team still has to incur that cap hit. Now, one way to mitigate the cap hit, though, is if Tua does retire and they work out some kind of settlement, or they don't work out a settlement, better for the Dolphins, but they're going to work out a settlement if that ever happened. They can work out a settlement where they eat some money and they pay him, and then the cap that's not spent yet. So anything that's not guaranteed, that hasn't already been spent for cap purposes, i.e. Tua's contract going forward, that could be recovered in future years with respect to a cap hit. But the money that we already spent guaranteed in the insurance policy don't affect that cap hit. You gotta remember that. So that's too much rosy thinking. We ate some of that cap hit if Tua doesn't come back, or if Tua doesn't pan out. Some of that cap hit we do have to eat. That's just a point that we have to pay attention to. And John says, if you're a true football fan, game does not have to be high scoring to be entertaining, honestly. If the game gets too high scoring, starts to get on my nerves. Like, will somebody stop somebody? Right. Defense is a part of football, right? The game of inches is a part of football. The trenches are a part of football. I don't think Mr. Glass, Chris Greer got the memo because he doesn't seem to ever invest properly in the offensive line. And the guys he does get seem to be finesse type players rather than maulers. But the fact is that football is a game of inches. Football is a game to be won in the trenches. And at the end of the day, I want to see a legitimate football game with defense, with trench play, with, all aspects of the running game, the passing game. I want to see all of those things. I don't need to see some high-flying thing all the time to be entertained. The problem with Stephen Ross is that he thinks we do. I sincerely believe that the reason Stephen Ross is obsessed with the idea of a young prodigy, offensive-minded coach is that he really thinks the only way to sell the Dolphins, the only way to get butts in seats, the only way to be relevant is to have this high-flying glitz and glamour offense with these high-priced stars because people are that and fans are that limited and that, minimally engaged and informed that they need this glitz and glamour to keep them entertained. And without that, the Dolphins won't be relevant. And that's also largely a philosophy that has taken root at the end of last decade and the beginning of this decade. But I actually think that that's falling out of favor. Somebody said it earlier in the chat. There has been a shift back towards hard-nosed football, tough trench play, and running the ball up the gut. And that's because the one thing that gets fans to the seats and the one thing that keeps fans engaged and the one thing that sells more tickets and sells more merchandise and gets more primetime games and sells more streaming is a winner, a championship team, a dynasty. That's why the NFL pushes the Chiefs so hard. That's why they push the Patriots so hard in yesteryear. A dynasty and winning are the number one way to get fans and to keep fans and to keep people engaged. And Ross doesn't seem to understand that we don't care how you win as long as you win. We don't need no defense and nothing but the young prodigy. That is actually a decade-old thinking. Hire a hard-nosed GM who's waiting for his turn. Hire a hard-nosed coach and move on from there. That's what you need to be doing. That's what you need to be doing. And Greasy threw when he needed to. Poor Paul Warfield. I mean, these guys are Hall of Famers for a reason, but they were built on a running game. It's a much different era. I mean, that's a much different era. We're talking the early 70s here. But those are the good old days, right? Those are the good old days. But all I want to say is, as I wind down here is, thank you to everybody who came out and supported the stream. Thank you for those who donated. Thank you to our newest member. Thank you for our current members, everybody who supports the channel. It allows me to take, some time during the day and come and talk to you guys. And I appreciate that a lot. Don't fall for the narratives. Listen to guys like me. Listen to TD. Listen to the Fins Tailgate. Listen. Don't fall for the narratives. Because even if you don't get through to the franchise by keeping it real, at least you'll keep it real with yourself and you won't get your hopes up too high to then be crushed when it doesn't work out. Don't fall for the narratives. Don't fall for it. Keep it real. Do it for yourself. Do it for your fellow fans. Do it for your own sanity. Tune into channels and to people who want to keep it real. And Carrie D says, and come December and January in the cold and the trenches will save you. Glitter just flakes off and makes everyone crazy because they have to vacuum it up. What a great analogy. Thanks for continuing my analogy, Fury Fem member Carrie D. Thank you for continuing my analogy so brilliantly. It's true. Glitter wears off after the September, October. The trenches travel. The trenches will save you. The trenches will win you championships. You need the trenches. And if you're going to invest in a quarterback like Tua, you especially need the trenches. He needs them to do what he does best well. And Miss Fins, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your show all the time. And we actually have to collab. You got to come up. I got to come up on your show. Guys, if you haven't done so yet, smash that subscribe button. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like button. One of the main things I want to ask you to do is share this video. There's 117 of you in here right now. Share this video with your friends. Share it in your spaces. Share it on your message boards. Share this podcast on message boards you're a part of. Share this podcast on any Dolphins community that you're in. Share this podcast on your Facebook groups, your Reddit groups, wherever. Share the podcast. The best way to get the word out and to keep objectivity in the Dolphins community is to share channels that you believe in and content that you agree with and content that holds you and others accountable. So the one thing I can really ask you to do, subscribe, hit like, join Fury Fam, but also share. Share the channel, share the video, get more people on board, get more people to be Fury Fam members. And Mr. Glass is Tua, not Greer. Yeah, I mean, you can call him both Mr. Glass. I can only call Greer Mr. Glass because he likes all kinds of injured players. Tua, Armstead. I mean, that encompasses all the problems we have. Tua is just his own thing, and I give Tua credit. I mean, he's a tough kid, throws his body around, but it's going to come back and bite him, and it's not good for the team when you throw your body around like that. It's just not. It's just not. But guys, click subscribe. Join us tomorrow night. If you like what you're getting, you like the content you're getting now, then join us tomorrow night at 7. Larry, Lucci, G, and Shake will have our format. Shake's going to do memes. Shake's going to do the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm going to give you a little bit more of my narrative here, my soliloquy, whatever you want to call it, because it's not really a narrative. Lucci's going to give his 2 cents. Make sure you check out G's rant that's on the channel right now. Go check out that video. Share that video. My after game rant is up too, and you can check out G tomorrow too. Maybe the after school special if he gets out of class on time, and then you could join the panel and talk to us tomorrow. Every Tuesday at 7. Every Tuesday at 7, we are live with Larry, Lucci, G, and Shake. Check that out. If you're not a member yet, join. My written column is going to be out soon. So join and check out the written column from last week. Check out this week's written column. And Mondays, I try my best. Not every Monday, but most Mondays, I'm able to get on here and talk to you guys after the games. So make sure you check and look for me on Mondays to hop up here. Guys, you were an absolute pleasure. You're the reason I do this. You keep me going. Thanks to all the other content creators who visited us today and showed love and came up and talked and joined the conversation. It was a pleasure to have all of you on. I will talk to you guys all soon. We will get through this. Brighter days are ahead, and we got a lot of season left to at least have fun and watch games. So enjoy it. It's a hobby. It's a pastime. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Hope everybody's healthy and happy and doing well to the best they can. Remember, click subscribe, share the channel, and I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow. Larry K out.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.